You're listening to the Business and Life Conversations podcast with Angela Henderson, episode 70. Hey there, you're listening to the Business and Life Conversations podcast. My name is Angela Henderson, and on this show, we talk about improving your business, life, or both by having amazing and rich conversations with brilliant guests who will inspire you and who will give you tips and tricks to help you grow both in life and in business. You don't need to do business alone. Join the conversations, be part of my community, get inspired, and let's rock together. www.angelahenderson.com.au. Well, hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Business and Life Conversations podcast. I'm your host, Angela, from Angela Henderson Consulting, where I am a business consultant helping women in business to develop the foundational framework and strategy they need to grow sustainable and profitable businesses. Now, supercharging your sales is something we all want to be able to do, and I'm excited to have Renee from Share My Passion as my guest today on the podcast, as she is going to share with us exactly that, supercharging your sales. She's also going to be talking to us really in depth about what is a signature system, what are the key benefits of having a signature system for your business, how does having a signature system supercharge your sales, and how do business owners start to create their very own signature system. So buckle in, because today is going to be a brilliant episode. But before we jump into the episode, I just want to let you know that this particular episode is sponsored by my new business masterclass, the ultimate 4-step framework for creating a sustainable and profitable business. In my 60-minute jam-packed masterclass, you're going to have the opportunity to learn my signature 4-step framework for creating a sustainable and profitable business without sacrificing time with your kids, without the overwhelm, or without wasting any more cash. I'm also going to dig deep about the 4 big business mistakes that everyone in business makes and why they're keeping you from growing a sustainable and profitable business. And lastly, I'm going to talk about what is working for businesses now and why most of what is being taught about growing a business is outdated and wrong. You can sign up for my on-demand business masterclass by simply heading to bit.ly/masterclass with Angela Henderson. And again, I will have this link in the show notes for you guys to be able to click on later on over at angelahenderson.com.au. But let's buckle in for an amazing episode. Welcome to the show, Renee.
Thank you so much for having me, Angela. It's so good to be here.
Yes, it is. It's always lovely to reconnect with people on the podcast that I've hung out with in person, especially so recently. We just hung out down at Elle Roberts' event in Adelaide, which was fantastic to spend some time with you.
Yeah, she does such a great job with the Artful Business Conference. It's a beautiful event.
It's a beautiful event, and it's just like the women are beautiful. Like everything about it has this really kind of calm zen to it. Do you know what I mean? And Elle's just a beautiful person also. So it's always great to reconnect with people on the podcast. Now, you've been doing your national tour, and one of the things that I like to do with my guests before we really jump into the nitty-gritty, which today we're going to be talking about how you supercharge your sales with the signature system, is I always like to ask a bit of a fun question. And since you do your tour for your business around Australia, my question that I'd like to start with is, what is your all-time favorite city in Australia?
Oh, I'm going to...
Oh, not even city. I'll take that back. Just place.
Just place.
Because you would have seen a lot. Like, I know your national tour, but I guess because you've done that, you've probably had opportunity to see other things that maybe others haven't, or maybe you haven't. I don't know. But tell us a little bit, like, what's your little favorite go-to spot in Australia that you really, really just love?
This is probably not going to be the answer you're looking for, Angela, but I'm going to just be brutally honest, because that's all I can be.
That's all you can be.
And you know what? On national tour, I don't actually get to really experience much of any location.
Sure.
Besides the inside of my Airbnb or hotel room.
Yep.
And the venue of the events, you know. I just find, because I am a parent, I really try and restrict how much time I'm away, even when I'm on tour, so that I kind of like fly in, check into wherever I'm going. I go to like the venue for my speaking gig for that night. Then I'll get back to my Airbnb, probably do Uber Eats because I can't be bothered to like finding some food. And then I'll get up the next morning, run my half day workshop, and then I'll like have some chats that afternoon with some clients I've met, and then I'll fly to the next place, you know? And so I don't think I can really give a fair assessment of any location based on that experience.
So let's just then take out the national tour situation. What would you say is still your go-to place in Australia that you love?
I'd probably say Byron Bay. And that's probably because my best friend moved up there and I love just going to hang out with her and just chilling. And yeah, it's always lovely. And we just go and sit in all the vegan cafes and eat food and hang out. That's probably, yeah.
That's your favorite spot. And listen, Byron Bay, for those that haven't been, it is this beautiful, I know I've got international listeners, but it's this beautiful gem place. Very, how would you describe it? It's scenic. It's
on the coast of northern New South Wales, and you can see the whales passing by on the beach, and
it is. It's becoming like an iconic spot, you could say. Do you know what I mean? It still isn't 100% tourist trap yet, but I would say, again, it's getting more and more popular. But it's a very elegant spot to go to. So now, all right, obviously people might go, okay, you're talking about this national tour. Can you tell everyone a little bit about you, Renee, and what you get up to in your day-to-day with your business?
Yeah, sure. So I have been in business for 19 years, and what I like to call my zone of genius, which I encourage my clients to focus on, my zone of genius is taking what is complex and making it clear and simple. And my unique way of doing that is I extract all the knowledge out of someone's head and I turn it into visual models. Mm-hmm. And that's all I do in my business now. And that's it's what makes it so much easier for me to work only during school hours, during school terms, because I'm just efficient at only doing the work that I love with people I love working with and the way that I love working. And that's kind of, I'm ticking all the boxes there in doing work that fits with my lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. And so again, I guess, and that's kind of, we'll go really into what we're going to be talking about today then, is that supercharge your sales with a signature system. So for those people who out there who are going, okay, visual tools, visual systems, can you tell us just a little bit about I want the listeners to be able to understand what that looks like. So can you tell us, what your definition of a signature system is and what are the bits and pieces inside of that?
Yeah, cool. Okay. So generally when I say signature system, I'm just referring to your unique methodology for working with clients. So essentially, if you have an expert-based business or a service-based business, when you're providing a service to a client, you're helping them go from something that they don't love, they've got some sort of problem or challenge, and they want a result or outcome, right? We're going from something crap to something good, right? We're helping them make a transition in whatever type of service-based business we have. That's essentially what we're doing when we're taking our clients from crap to good. And generally, over time, we find our own ways of making that transition with our clients, of helping them get there efficiently, effectively, and we come up with our own way of getting them there and having guaranteed results, essentially, that we get proven results if we follow a certain process, right? Mm-hmm. And turning it into a signature system is essentially taking what we've been innately doing with our clients and explicitly putting it into a structure. Mm-hmm. A structure that then we make visual. So it's not just you could have a signature system that's just a list of these are my 7 steps, in bullet points. These are my 7 steps to get better sales in your business, right? And you could have a 7-step process in a list. Mm-hmm. But if you turn that into a visual model, which is what I love to do, then imagine that you've got a model that's got a picture with 7 arrows moving from left to right. And inside each one of those arrows is one of your steps. And so that way it's like a visual representation of that 7-step process. And you can see that it moves from left to right. So you can see that it's a linear process. It's like chronological order. And it helps to kind of give more tangibility to the process itself. And you can have different shapes for different purposes. And there are 4 different types of models and all that sort of stuff. But you let me know if you want me to go into more detail.
Okay, so essentially what you're saying is you're taking what people would potentially be talking to on a sales call or in an email, but you instead, because again, we know people learn differently. People are visual learners, auditory learners, whatever that is. And so what you're saying is in addition to, being able to talk about it and have those words, you're putting your signature system is about creating those visual tools that are necessary to really, if we're talking about it, supercharge your sales. Because you're saying without that signature system and without those visual representations, it's going to be very limited at your selling capacity.
Well, I think limited in a sense. I have absolutely built a one-on-one service-based business to full capacity without visual models. Uh-huh. So I think if we're building, if we have a very small number of clients and we don't need to attract the masses, I think, you can build a business like that through word of mouth and referrals. And you don't necessarily need all this fancy intellectual property or collateral to back you up and to prove your credibility. But when you want to kind of scale up and grow and actually attract more people who don't necessarily know you personally or aren't getting a personal recommendation from someone that you already know, then we need something else to build that know, like, and trust factor. And the visual models can really add a lot of weight to your credibility and authority because they can see what it is that you know. It's like, when it's locked inside our brains, people can't see it.
Right.
They've got no access to it except what you verbally give them. But when you put it into a visual model, it makes it visible, it makes it tangible, and then it makes it credible, right? So it ticks so many boxes. And that's how we get cut through, we cut through the overwhelm and the chaos because, often what we're teaching, Angela, is complex. Like what the things that you know and your experience and your knowledge, it's like the web inside your brain is so complex. There is so much in there. And to try and communicate that, it can come out like a knowledge vomit. Mm-hmm. We don't want to kill our audiences with that.
And also, like you said, a lot of times in service-based business, and even, again, I would even probably go e-commerce, it is that if you've got so many choices and there's so much knowledge and people are already in a state of overwhelm about what to buy, what do I need, etc., that, like you said, I can only assume that the visual, tools, and again, I've got a few of my own, so I completely agree with what your systems are, is that, again, you're, like you said, you're cutting through things, and those people that don't want to read the words can get it, and they're like, yep, I'm just going to look at this, and I can see the process. But also, would you say that some of the benefits there is that people can almost see where they're at in a process also, and where, like, in moving them from, like, say their hell to their heaven?
Yeah, totally. So, I like that, from their hell to their heaven. That's a good way, because I normally I might throw in a few swears.
Did so,
but I'm keeping it clean for you today because
it's all right. No. There's been more than a few F-bombs dropped on the Do You Know What I Mean podcast. So yes, my listeners are very used to it. It's we try and keep it clean.
I can let it slip. I was on my very
if
best
something
behavior.
slips, it's okay. Like, again, we don't go. Yeah. So don't worry about that. Yes.
Okay, great. So exactly. We're taking our clients from shit to good, right? Where there are 4 different types of models, and maybe if I kind of explain that, are you happy for me to do that?
Yeah.
Awesome. Because they each have a different purpose, and what you're talking about is, almost, so the first type of model is the success model, right? Mm-hmm. And actually, I'm going to give you a client. So here's the thing, because with my system, these 4 types of models, I've got an acronym to help everyone remember these 4 models that you need to make a complete set in your signature system, and the acronym is SEXY.
Uh-huh. I like it. Sexy.
Sexy. Yep. Uh-huh. So the S stands for success. Mm-hmm. And the success model is all about what are the key ingredients that your clients need to master for success. And so what you need to do to create this model for yourself in your business is to first understand who's my ideal client, what does success look like for them? Mm-hmm. And what are all the things? And if you kind of then imagine, well, if success is a cake, what are all the ingredients I need to put into that cake to make it successful?
Sure.
And so in that success model, we're looking at what are the ingredients for success.
Yep.
And that's that first model. Uh-huh. The second model is your educate model. And so this is almost like the method for making the cake, because this is your step-by-step process.
Yep.
This is, how do we get our clients from shit to good? Uh-huh. What are all the actions and the doing? So we definitely want to be using verbs when we're creating our educate model. And this is your step-by-step process.
Yep.
So we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this, and then we do this. So that's your educate model. The third model is the excite model. And yes, I've used creative license there because I'm saying that's your ex, but that's what we're going with.
Yeah.
The excite model, this one here is a really great model because it helps you to tell a story. And we can use this to tell a hero's journey type story. So you get from zero to hero type scenario. And ideally, we tell this in first person. It's like, well, this is my story. And we show that story, and we show the stages in that story graphically and visually. And often the shapes we use for that will be something that's moving up and it's showing momentum, so that we can see that there's progress. And as we kind of use that excite model to tell our story and describe the experience and the emotion behind it, right, it becomes an inspiration and a motivation to our ideal clients, because they'll do a self-assessment. They'll look at that story and they'll go, oh, say it's, a 5-stage process. They'll look at that and go, oh, I'm up to stage 3 there. I can see I'm at stage 3 and I really want to get to stage 5.
Sure.
And this person who's presenting this model they've been there and done that. They know how to do that. This is what they teach. Wow, this is the ideal person for me to work with to close that gap and get from stage 3 to stage 5 as fast as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And then the final model is the yes model. And that's all about having your client saying yes to working with you. And we do that by showing the benefits. So that's all about, just summarizing very, very clearly and graphically what are the benefits of working with you. And then those 4 models together, you can use them to tell a story. And it really is quite a remarkable system when you pull it all together.
And like you said, sometimes, again, like that example you used, every business person will be in a different part of that story. But if they can see them where they are and how you're going to move them, ultimately you're going to convert clients at a greater speed. Yeah.
And that is the cool thing about it, Angela, is that I never feel like I'm selling when I'm using my models, because the way that they're designed is that you are always educating and teaching when you are sharing these models. And it's through the education, it's through the teaching that your audience will self-select and you'll attract people and you won't have to chase them. And that's what I really, really love, is your audience is saying hell yes to working with you without you having to actually, do anything.
So if you've got this system that you've called the sexy system, and it's got those 4 main components, the success model, the educate model, the excite model, and the yes model, what would you say are the primary benefits for businesses to have this signature system?
Well, the first one we've kind of already touched on, which is getting that cut through. So, but the cut through kind of is internal and external. It cuts through because I feel like, even 19 years in business, it's so easy for us to get caught up in our own thoughts, in our own complexity, because we know so much stuff. So first we get that internal cut through and we get that clarity of, okay, this is actually what I do.
Yes.
And this is how I clearly articulate it. So we get that cut through ourselves from that chaos to clarity, which then means externally our clients, our audience, our leads, we can cut through the noise and they can actually hear what it is that we're saying. Whether that's in a social media feed or, whether we're on stage presenting, we're going to cut through all the noise of all the messages that we're having, or if we're sitting down having coffee with someone and we're drawing some pictures on the back of a napkin, we're going to get cut through because our stuff is more memorable when it's visible, when it's visual. Yep. So that's that cut through. The second benefit really is having our audience saying hell yes without having to be a sleazy salesperson.
Yep.
People will they will self-select. They will decide that, oh my goodness, this is amazing. I want this thing. I can see exactly what it is that you're doing. It's tangible. I can see how you're going to get me from A to Z. I feel really certain that you know what it is that you're doing. And I'm going to, people who are your ideal client will say yes to working with you. And conversion rates, like the conversion rates I see for my clients are just epic.
So conversion rates are the benefit?
Yep, totally. And the third one is results. And that, again, is an internal and external. So we get better results for our clients. So that's the external, because it means that our clients, if we've got a 7-step process that's clearly mapped out, we've got a better chance of having that client retention all the way to the end of the process, because they can see it clearly mapped ahead of them.
Yes.
I've worked with a lot of people who are coaches, for example, and, the coaches know that if they complete the process, the client will get the result. But the clients will often drop out or give up before they get to the end because they can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. But with having everything mapped out for them, we can show them there is light at the end of the tunnel. We can point out to them exactly where they're up to in the process so they can see how much progress they've already made. And it just kind of creates this really safe container and this certainty around completion of a process to make sure that they get the result that they really want. So results for clients are increased and improved, but also internally in terms of being more efficient and more effective, I can create product and content super fast. And that's the kind of results I really love inside my business. I wrote my first book in 2.5 days. I wrote my second book in 48 hours. And I created my online course in 48 hours. And the reason I can do that is I've already got the intellectual property. Those models are already extracted. So I'm never, ever starting with a blank screen or a blank piece of paper. I've got that structure there, and all I have to do is flesh it out, and it's done.
And it's done for you. So again, like you said, you continue. It's not just about using it in one purpose, your signature system. It's about being able to use it on multiple levels across your business.
Absolutely. That signature system should become the basis of everything you do in your business. If you've done it correctly, if you've focused on your zone of genius and where you add the most value, and you've extracted your signature system correctly, it becomes everything for your whole business. It means that every single product in your funnel should be based on that signature system.
So how does the signature system then, I know we talked about the benefits, but how does the signature system then really supercharge your sales?
Well, it all comes back to that conversion rate because, I mean, to give an example, one of my clients, Anna Osherov, after she created her signature system, she got up and she had 5 minutes. She donated a door prize at a networking event. She had 5 minutes to get up and talk about what she does as, the exchange, I guess, for donating that door prize.
Yeah.
5 minutes, she converted 50% of the room to her half-day workshop.
Right.
A 50% conversion rate in 5 minutes is, unheard of, right? But except for my clients, because that's the sort of results that is just expected.
Yeah, because again, people can, go, yeah, boom, that's where I'm at. And sometimes again, people, if you're at an event too, they're sick of hearing people's words, right? Like sometimes it's like people, they already know where they are, they know what they need, and then they see it, and then like the light bulb moment hits on. So I can only assume that for those ladies or gentlemen in that audience, that was similar too. They're like, okay, yeah, this lady knows what she's talking about. We've got 5 minutes, let me know more about you.
Yeah. Exactly. And, I've got other clients. So, for example, Katie Jane Romaine has 57 clients in the last financial year signed up for her 12-month mastermind program, which is an $8,000 program. So that's some pretty good numbers that people are getting.
And having that signature system in place.
Yeah, it's having that signature system because it just makes it so easy for the right clients to say yes.
Yeah. No, fantastic. And then so for those businesses out there, do you think a signature system is more predominantly for those in service-based business, or Absolutely. Would you also use it in e-commerce business?
Look, I don't have any proven results with people doing product-based stuff, so I can't, put my hand on my heart and say it would work.
Totally, yeah.
But I have so much experience with the service-based businesses where I know that it does absolutely work. And so, yeah, definitely for a service-based business. I'm excited if someone has a product-based business and they want to have a play with me. I'm happy to have a play and let's see if we can make it work. But I wouldn't guarantee that it was going to supercharge your sales in the same way that it does for a service. Yeah.
So for those businesses that are out there now listening to this particular episode about how to supercharge your sales with the signature system, how does a business create their signature system? And I guess, what could they start doing now? Do you know what I mean? To start kind of playing with it and fleshing things out.
Yes. So before you actually create your signature system and the models, step one is actually all about clarity. The first thing we need to do is to clarify 5 things. So number 1 is our zone of genius. We need to actually zone in on what is the one thing that we do really, really well, and we're at the place where we add the most value. So that's the first thing. Number 2 is we need to really know our niche.
Yeah.
Absolutely be clear about our ideal client. Number 3 is we need to know why that client will buy from us. What are their pain points? What do they really, really want? Number 4 is what is the results or the outcome they will absolutely pay for.
Yeah.
And 5 is you actually need to be clear about your brand, because we want all our visual models to be on brand in terms of the colors and the fonts and even the shapes and the corners, because for me, my brand is passion and I'm really kind of like fiery and straight to the point. So all my shapes, the corners are always pointy corners. They're never rounded corners because that would be off brand for me. So branding is actually, translated into the models as well. So there's quite a lot of artistry that goes into it. So
the intricacies with it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. So yeah, that first step is getting clear on those 5 things. And then step 2 would be then you actually extract those 4 different types of models. And so, you want to take all the information out of your head and channel it into those 4 pictures that we've already talked about. And then step 3 is you want to need to actually use them. So, I don't want this to be something like a cerebral exercise where people do it and then it's go, okay, tick, I've done it. Back in the old school days of business plans where we'd all write a business plan and then it would just like sit on a shelf and we'd never look at it again.
Yeah.
I don't want you to do that with your signature system. Like once you've actually created it, step 3 is we need to use it everywhere. And so we need to make sure that we are If we're doing speaking gigs, we're using our speaking gigs. If we're writing an authority book, we're putting them into our books. We're using them in our content marketing. We're using them in our one-on-one conversations. Everything we do, they need to be presented and coming through everywhere so that you become the go-to person and the known person for this intellectual property.
And I guess it would, just like you said, and just by that though too, you're adding your credibility, you're adding your authority. And I guess you're also, as you talked about cutting through, but you're also showing, I guess, your unique point of difference with other people also.
Oh, totally. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, that's exactly what it does.
And for those people that are out there, obviously, and they're like, okay, great. A signature system, especially if you're a service-based business, is going to, you said, you're going to be able to cut through. You're going to get more clients saying hell yes, which is going to help with their conversions. And obviously, like you said, you're not only going to get results for your client, but you're also going to see results and progress also for you, yourself as the business owner. So, and those people out there that, again, the steps that you've walked beautifully through about getting clear, really looking at the sexy model and then implementing it everywhere. But for those people that really, like, I'm a bit of a hands-on person. I have to see things and hear things. I know you have a beautiful book that has come out that you've just released. Can you tell us a little bit about the book? Because I've read the book from front to back. I actually read it when I was in Vietnam. And I've worked out because again, I think, like you said, a very important point is that you can have so many of your signature systems are already in your head and you're using them on a day-to-day basis, right? It's just about utilizing them in a better way so that you're, again, being able to meet your client versus what you, like you said, I like it's verbal vomit. We know what we know very well as service-based business owners. And sometimes we can say too much or too little. Whereas I think the visual representations of your signature system is a beautiful way to just make everything flow and piece it all together. And not just if you're having a discovery call, but like you said, in your content, if you're at a speaking event, etc. So I have two. I've been working on my sexy model and I've done the success and the yes model, which has been super beneficial to go through.
Yay!
Yes. And I'll show you after we get off. But for those that are like, but I've also heard you speak in that, do you know what I mean? And so sometimes people need some extra help. So if they wanted to purchase your book, because I think you did a really great job with executing that in the book. And if they'd like to know more about how they might just have you be able to work with them through their entire signature system, how can they meet you or work with you? Where can they find you?
So the best place to go actually is shareyourpassion.com.au/free training. And I've actually got a free training there, which, goes through and actually shows some examples of some visual models as well. Because I think, what we can't get across in a podcast is looking at the visual models.
Totally, exactly right. Yeah.
The irony, hey, of talking about visual models. Auditory podcast, right? So yeah, if you want to have a look and get a bit more of an idea of what it is that we're talking about, and that also includes a free training series on those 5 things we talked about you need clarity on before you start the extraction. Mm-hmm. I take you through step by step how to do that. So people can actually start moving and take action on it as well.
Yeah, fantastic. So, and your book, are they also able to purchase your book over on your website?
Yes, so the book's also on the website, shareyourpassion.com.au, and just click on book.
All right, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I can say from someone who's heard you speak and someone who's also worked through your book, it is, if you don't have a signature system utilizing visual, representation of what you do, you definitely want to hop onto Renee's website, and we will have that link in our show notes. And I guess before we sign off, I would just say that my team and I will also be putting together the whole transcription for this episode at angelahenderson.com.au. And of course, I cover all sorts of related business and life topics inside my Facebook community, the Australian Business Collaborative. So feel free to join us over there. But for the rest of you, have a brilliant day. And I look forward to you joining me next week for another amazing episode of the Business and Life Conversations podcast. Thanks again for today, Renee.
Thank you so much for having me, Angela.
Thanks for listening to the Business and Life Conversations podcast with Angela Henderson. www.angelahenderson.com.au